The propaganda is on every channel. They think we stupid like the truth is just too hard to handle. Put on your camo, it's a culture war and load the ammo. They want Antifa ruling everything like it's Seattle. And they want anyone who's fighting to be dead and canceled. They want rainbows in the classrooms and 15 different bathrooms and white guys that hate black dudes. They want war, they don't want peace. They want fentanyl in our streets. They want borders to be weak. I swear the devil lives in California. He a politician. He passing bills that bring chaos and division. Yeah, the devil lives in California. Should be in prison. He got horns, but he tries to keep them hidden. Cause the devil is a Democrat. And we don't play that. They say that. They love America. We know it ain't that. The devil is a Democrat. And we ain't with it. We ain't switching.
All right, y'all. So listen. California Democrats built the game, rigged the field, loved the rules until Republicans found a way to beat them with it. Now, all of a sudden, it is a break glass emergency. Now, all of a sudden, the top two primary is a problem. Now, all of a sudden, they want to change the rules. Funny how that works. Since 2010, California has had a two-top primary system. Democrats had no problem when it gave Democrats versus Democrat races. They had no problem when Republicans were shut out. They had no problem when California voters were stuck choosing between two flavors of the same machine. But now, there's a chance two Republicans, Steve Hilton, Chad Bianco, could make it through to the governor race. And suddenly, Sacramento is panicking. They're trying to get people to drop out. It's a panic mode for them. And now we get to see they are willing to do anything to win, except earn the people's vote. Before I go through my ballot picks, we need to talk about the blame game, the dropout game. And while changing the rules now tells you everything you need to know, because I keep seeing people on Facebook playing the blame game. This person should drop out. That person should have dropped out. Republicans are splitting the votes. Democrats are splitting the votes. Look, that conversation might have mattered about a few months ago, but right now, ballots are out. It's already in the boat. It is what it is. At this point, we vote. And here is what people need to understand. California has a chance to do something the political machine clearly did not expect. We have a chance to get two Republicans into the governor race after primaries. Steve Hilton, Chad Bianco. Now, whether you like one more than the other, whether you think one should have dropped out, whether you think the party should have handled it differently, that conversation is almost over. The ballots are here. Now we vote. And before I even get into my ballot, I want to point something out. Gavin Newsom was asked about the possibility of two Republicans making it to the November governor race. He talked about he knew it. They're working on it. He talked about it being a break glass emergency. Funny how that is, because then reports came out about a push to get rid of California's top two primary system. Stephen Maviglio, a longtime Democrat strategist, filed a ballot initiative to repeal the top two system and go back to the old party primary system. Now think about that. Since 2010, they loved the system when it helped them, but the moment Californians might use that same system to beat them at their own game, now they want to change the rules. That is the part people need to see. And this is where I laugh when I say a threat to democracy. First of all, somebody show me where the word democracy is in our Constitution, because I keep hearing the word like it's some magic pill or spell or something like that. But here in California, if you want to talk about voters being cheated out of real choices, look at what the politicians do. They support the rules when the rules help them, They attack the rules when the rules hurt them. They tell voters to trust the system. Then the minute voters might use the system against them, they start looking for ways to change it. That's not democracy. That's control. So today I am not playing the dropout game. I am sitting here talking about what should have happened months ago. I'm voting. I filled out my ballot. I'm signing the envelope. I'm mailing it. After I mail it, I'm tracking it, because your vote does matter. It's not going to do anything sitting on the table. I can tell you that right now. And you need to do it now. You got 2 weeks left. So let's get it in there. Track it. So remember, fill it out. Sign it. Seal it. Mail it. Track it. Flip it good. Woo. No, I'm just kidding. And if you want to track your ballot, use the California official "Where's my ballot" to. You can get updates by text, email, or phone call when your ballot is mailed, received, and counted. You can also check Reform California and Carl DeMaio's ballot tracking and voter guide too. I'll put the link in the description. Now that I got that out of the way, because the governor races matters, it does. But it's not the only thing that matters. Everybody complains about California. The taxes, the crime, the schools, the homelessness, the insurance crisis, the cost of living. But then election times come and people skip half the ballot. No, not this time. I'm going to go through my statewide picks. I'll tell you what the office does. I'll tell you what went wrong. And then I'll tell you who I voted for and why. California did not break itself. People voted for the politicians and the policies and the machine that broke it. So if you want a different California, you better you better stop voting for the same people who gave us this one. All right, first off, let's go over the lieutenant governor, okay? Lieutenant governor is the second highest executive office in California. They become the acting governor when the governor leaves the state. They can break tie votes in the state senate. And this is important. They sit on the major education boards, the UC Board of Regents, the CSU Board of Trustees, the California Community College Boards of Governors. So when we talk about schools, colleges, cost of living, and directions of California, this office matters. And the current lieutenant governor is Eleni Kularniski. Close enough. Now, I'm not saying she personally caused every problem in California, but she is a great example of how the California machine works. Why California students are struggling, while families are getting crushed, while schools are failing too many kids. What do we keep seeing from the machine? More national politics, more fighting Trump, more climate talk, more equality slogans, more political theater. But what about the basics? Reading, writing, math, discipline, safety, parents, accountability. California's education numbers are not good. Only 48.82% of the California students met or exceeded the state English standard. That means 51.18% did not meet or exceed the standards. That's more than half. Let that sink in for a little bit. More than half of California students did not meet or exceed the state English standard. And on the national test, only 29% of California fourth graders and 28% of California eighth graders were proficient in reading. So when I look at the lieutenant governor, I'm not just looking at a title. I'm looking at who's going to sit on those education boards. I'm looking at who is going to challenge the system. I'm looking at who is going to say parents matter, students matter, and failing kids is not acceptable. That is why I'm voting for Gloria Romero for lieutenant governor. Gloria Romero was a California state senator. She became the first woman Senate majority leader in California history. She's known for education reform and school choice. Wait, well, okay, there we go. That is why I'm voting for Gloria Romero. Gloria Romero was California state senator. She became the first woman Senate majority leader in California history. She is known for education reform and school choice. She authored California's Parent Trigger Law, which gave parents a way to push back when their school was failing. She also founded Scholarship Prep Charter School to help high poverty and foster youth close the achievement gap. That is the difference. The current machine gives us excuses. Gloria Romero gives us a record of challenging the system. If California kids cannot read, then I don't know what more speeches from the same education machine is going to do. I want someone who believes parents should have power. I want someone who believes families should have a choice. I want someone who has already fought the system before. That is why I'm voting for Gloria Romero for Lieutenant Governor. Now, let's talk about the Secretary of State. This office matters because the Secretary of State is the California Chief Election Officer. They oversee the statewide elections. They certify candidates and ballot measures. They help manage voter registration. They deal with campaign disclosure. They deal with election information. They are supposed to help protect trust in the system. And trust is a key word because when people do not trust the ballot, they do not trust the government. And when they do not trust the government, how are we supposed to fix anything else? Texas, crime, schools, homelessness, insurance, cost of living, all of that starts with elections. And this is where Riverside County matters. In Riverside County, there was an allegation of a major vote count problem with that Prop 50 special election. The claim was that the numbers did not add up by roughly 45,000 to 45,800 votes. Now, election officials pushed back and said that claim came from a misunderstanding of data. Some reporting said officials urged that the actual difference was closer to 100 votes, not 45,000. Fine. Then prove it. Explain it. Show the public exactly where the numbers came from and why they match. Because when voters hear that there might be a 45,000 vote problem, and then that's just in the county, and then the state's reaction is to fight the investigation, that doesn't build trust. That destroys trust. And that's my issue. If the ballot numbers do not match, we should be able to investigate if there's fraud. If there's no fraud, prove there's no fraud. If the data was misunderstood, explain the data. If somebody is wrong, show the receipts. But do not tell the public to shut up and sit down and trust the same system they're questioning. That is exactly why people are losing faith. And then you look at San Francisco, the undercover petition video that O'Keefe had did with his undercover I don't know, you call them agents or journalists or whatever. Take a look at this.
A report is exposing elections fraud in the state of California. New video showing some of the homeless population being bribed with cash and drugs in exchange for registering to vote and signing election petitions. The National News Desk, Jeff Harris, joins us in this group who took this video, Jeff. They shared over 24 times. It appears to show cash exchange for ballot signatures and registration forms. Tell us more.
So in the nearly half-hour video, independent journalist James O'Keefe and his team are seen posing undercover on Skid Row in Los Angeles, all in an effort to expose election fraud, including what appears to be people being encouraged to use fake addresses to sign petitions and register to vote. From fake addresses to bribes, independent journalist James O'Keefe and his team recently went undercover along LA's Skid Row to expose election fraud in California.
Tonight, we're going to give an additional one more sign. After that one more, you can do that. What is our petition for? You know the petition for? We get into what it is.
O'Keefe says in the nearly half-hour video, they captured 28 times state non-governmental employees encouraged the homeless to use fake addresses in order to sign petitions and register to vote.
In this video, we captured it 28 times over the course of a few days. That means it's happening tens, if not hundreds of thousands of times.
On hidden cameras, petitioners admitting they're paid between $7 and $10 per signature, but it is a federal crime to provide false information on a voter registration form or offer payment.
Yeah, because you have a register, I need to register you. So I get paid.
The video also highlighting the LA Homeless Services Authority, who distributes federal money to Weingart Center, a homeless service in LA. A LASA employee being caught on camera directing people to where fraudulent petitioners were located and coaching plausible deniability.
Go to Skid Row and see if there's people out there. What is it? With Stacy, if you're there, but I have to say I didn't know.
In response to the reporting, state leaders, including the first assistant U.S. attorney for the Central District of California, acknowledging what's being shown, writing on X, quote, "I want to assure the public that this DOJ, under the leadership of Attorney General Pam Bondi, will aggressively pursue anyone and everyone involved in violating federal election laws." The LA District Attorney's Office also responding to O'Keefe. Our office received your complaint and will open a file for preliminary review. Plus, Governor Gavin Newsom, his office writing, quote, "Anyone caught engaging in this activity should be investigated and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law."
And I think that's why Newsom is putting out the statement he's putting out. I think because he knows he's going to have to do something on this.
Now, this investigation comes as the state of California is already being looked into by the Trump administration surrounding alleged hospice and home health care fraud. Independent journalist Nick Shirley also recently releasing a video claiming to have found over $170 million in state fraud. Reporting for the National News Desk, I'm Jeff Harris.
Jeff, thank you.
No, I apologize. That was Los Angeles undercover petition video. And hey, you know what? Kiss my ass. There's a San Francisco one and an Oakland one. Trust me, it's out there. There's a whole bunch. This ain't just one incident. Nick Shirley even got some stuff. Anyhow, so you can see by the video. So one, and it was a San Francisco one. This is what I saw. They're paying and they were registering the vote, and then they were all put in the same address. Now Nick Shirley was when he was investigating. He says, "Why is there 15 people assigned to this one PO box?" Real simple. It makes me wonder about the signature, because they say, you know what? The signature has to match. If these guys in the streets are registering with the signature and then they never see him again, how are they determining that the signature matches? You tell me. That was not the same thing as a completed election ballot, but just to be accurate, that was a ballot petition signatures, but it still matters because ballot petitions are part of the election system. If people are allegedly paying vulnerable people cash and cigarettes to sign names, if there are questions about fake signatures, bad registrations, or addresses being manipulated, then that should be a concern for everybody. Because if the process is to get things on the ballot can be manipulated, that affects what the voters are even voting on. So again, The answer cannot be nothing to see here. The answer should be investigate it, verify it, clean it up, and that's why I'm voting for Don Wagner or Secretary of State. Don Wagner is an Orange County supervisor and a former state legislator. He is running on a secure, accurate, efficient, and accessible election. He supports voter ID. He says only eligible voters should cast ballots, and he supports making the Secretary of State Business Division more small business friendly. That fits exactly where I stand. I want voter ID. I want clean voter rolls. I want real verification. I want ballot confidence. I want a system people can trust. Because if it can't be checked, not because politicians demand blind faith. See, the current machine says, trust us. Don Wagner says, secure it, verify it, and rebuild trust. And that's the difference. And that's why I'm voting for Don Wagner for Secretary of State. And here's why this connects with the Attorney General race. If we stay with the same California machine, then when the ballot numbers do not add up, what happens? People ask questions, somebody tries to investigate, and then here comes the Attorney General trying to stop it. We saw that with Riverside County. Rob Bonta went after Sheriff Chad Bianco's investigation. He argued with the courts that it should be stopped. And they did. Now, if you want the full breakdown on the Rob Bonta, go watch my video. I have it up in the corner at the end of this video. Click on that and everything we explain. Because that brings me to the Attorney General race. And in my opinion, Rob Bonta is one of the most corrupt accused, and I say accused, politician in California. Enough of that. Let's go into our treasurer. Let's talk about that treasurer. This office matters because the treasurer is California's banker, financer, the lead assist manager. That means this office deals with the state money, investments, bonds, debt, public financing, and where California puts its financial power. So when people complain about taxes and cost of living, this office is part of that conversation. And here is my issue. California does not have a money shortage. California has an accountability shortage. They tax us more, they borrow more, they bond more, they spend more, they create more programs, and somehow regular people still get crushed. Rent is high, gas is high, grocery is high, insurance is high, utilities are high, homelessness is still everywhere, roads are still a mess, and the state keeps acting like the answer is always more money. And then they can't tax us anymore. They say, let's get the rich. And the rich leave and they come back and tax us some more. The current treasurer's office talks about financing schools, roads, houses, public health facility, clean energy, sustainable infrastructure, small businesses, and undeserved communities, I guess you say. Okay, then, where are the results? If the money is being managed so well, why does California still feel unaffordable for working people? That's your get out card right there. Why do we keep passing the bonds and programs, but the same problem keeps getting worse? Why are taxpayers always told to sacrifice more while Sacramento never seems to sacrifice anything? And this is where the green agenda comes into too. While working with people who are trying to survive rent, gas, groceries, insurance, and utilities, Sacramento keeps pushing clean energy investments, sustainable bonds, climate programs, and feel-good political language. But regular people are the ones paying the bill. That is a problem. That working class gets squeezed, and the politicians call it progress. That is why I'm voting for Jennifer Hawk for treasurer. Jennifer Hawk is running on a transparency, accountability, and oversight of California's finances. That is exactly what I want. I do not want another Sacramento insider helping the machine manage excuses. I want somebody asking, where did the money go? Who got paid? What did taxpayers get back? Why do we keep spending more while working people get less? The current machine keeps saying, we need more funding. Jennifer Hawk is saying, we need more accountability, fool. That is the difference. California does not need another politician protecting the money machine. California needs someone willing to follow the money, and that's why I'm voting for Jennifer Hawk for treasurer. All right, let's get on to the controller. This office matters too, because the controller is California's chief fiscal officer. This is the officer that is supposed to watch the money. Aha. The deal with accountability, the deal with disbursement, they deal with the audits, they deal with the state spending, they deal with taxpayer money. So when people complain about homelessness, government waste, tax, and the cost of living, this office is right in the middle of that conversation. And here's my issue. California keeps spending billions of dollars, billions. And regular people keep asking the same question, where did the money go? We keep hearing about homelessness funding. We keep hearing about programs. We keep hearing about nonprofits. We keep hearing about grants. We keep hearing about solutions. But then we look outside and what do we see? Tents, trash, needles, mental illness, addiction, people suffering in the streets, businesses getting hurt, neighborhoods getting worse. So don't tell me this is compassion. If billions are being spent and the problem keeps getting worse, that's not compassion. That's failure. And this is where the controller race matters. The controller should not just be another politician in the machine. The controller should be the person asking the hard questions. Where did the money go? Who got paid? Which nonprofits received the money? What did they actually do with it? What results did the taxpayers get? And why does California keep spending more while regular people keep getting less? And this is where I want to get specific, because people hear waste, fraud, and abuse so much that it starts sounding like a slogan. No, I'm not talking about real cases, but I am talking about real cases. California fraud problem is so bad, I'm surprised we didn't have hospice companies being run out of taco trucks. Hey, can I get 2 street tacos, fake patient file, and $260 million in Medi-Cal billing? Nah, that was a joke, but this is not. Fraud is not a joke. The state says 21 people were charged in a hospice fraud scheme that defrauded Medi-Cal out of $267 million. So when people say, where did the money go? This is why we ask, because California doesn't just need more money. California needs somebody watching the money. And then look at the homeless housing money. It was reported that on a property deal where taxpayers were set to pay $27 million on a property from a business that was buying it almost at the same time for about $11 million. Let me say that again. Buying it for about $11 million and selling it with taxpayer money for about $27 million. That is the kind of thing regular people look at and say, how does that happen? Who approved that? Who checked the numbers? Who watched the money? And why do taxpayers get stuck with the bill? Then you have the home key frauds. Federal prosecutors said California paid out $25.9 million in home key grant money for the homelessness housing projects, and they alleged fake bank records was submitted to prove the developer had the money and the capacity to do the job. They also said some of that homeless housing money ended up paying credit card bills, including luxury purchases. So when I say California needs a watchdog, that is what I mean. That is why I'm voting for Herb Morgan for controller, because this office should not just be another seat for the California machine. The controller should be watching the money, hospice fraud, homeless money, fake records, questionable property deals, grant money, nonprofits, program with no results. You know how nonprofits is on every single one of them? I think somebody needs to follow the money. Herb Morgan is talking about exposing wasteful and fraudulent spending. He wants to scrutinize homelessness spending. He wants a state-funded nonprofit transaction placed in database. He wants technology used to flag suspicious spending. That is exactly the kind of oversight California needs right now. That current machine keeps saying, we spent the money. Herb Morgan is asking, where did it go? That's the difference. California does not need another accountant for the machine. California needs a watchdog over the machine. And that's why I'm voting for Herb Morgan for controller. Now let's talk about the insurance commissioner. This is a big one. Because this is not some political theory. People are leaving this state. People are getting dropped from the insurance. People are getting non-renewed. People are watching rates go up. People are being forced into a fair plan. People are scared they will not be able to insure their home. That's not a small problem. That's a California crisis. The insurance commissioner is supposed to regulate this market. Homeowners insurance, auto insurance, property insurance, rate approvals, consumer protection, insurance company conduct. So when people complain about the cost of living, housing, wildfire risks, and homeowners getting crushed, this office right in the middle of that conversation too. And under the current leadership, California insurance market became a disaster. Now I'm going to be fair, a little bit. Insurance commissioner does not control the wildfires. He does not control every insurance company decision, but he does control the regularity environment. And under that regularity environment, insurance companies pulled back. Owners got dropped. Rates went up and the FAIR Plan was exploded. The FAIR Plan is supposed to be the last resort, but in California, the last resort started to be the main resort. As of March 2025, the FAIR Plan had about 570,739 policies in force and about $599 billion in exposure. Policies were up 130% since 2021. Exposure was up 259% since 2021. That is not stability. That's a warning light flashing red. And this is where I get tired of the whole green politic shit. They want to blame gas cars. They want to blame regular people. They want to push climate slogans. But when wildfires destroy communities, when brush is not clear and forest management gets ignored, when homeowners can not get insurance, when regular people are forced to pay more, suddenly nobody in Sacramento wants to take full responsibility. That's my problem. The working class gets the bill. Homeowners get the cancellation notice. Politicians get another press conference. That is why I'm voting for Stacy Korsgaden for insurance commissioner. Stacy Korsgaden comes from the insurance industry. She understands how the market works, and right now California needs somebody who understands insurance. Not another politician, especially one who wants to manage and collapse with talking points. I'm not going to get into that. I want competition back. I want companies writing policy against. I want homeowners to have the option. I want wildfire prevention taken seriously. I want the market fixed before more people get pushed into a last resort coverage. The current machine gave us more cancellations, more non-renewals, more rate pressure, more fair plan dependence, more excuses. Stacy Korsgaden is saying, bring competition back, bring insurance back, give consumers more choices, deal with the wildfires risk, stop crushing homeowners. And that's the difference. California does not need another politician explaining why insurance collapsed. California needs someone who knows how to rebuild the market. That is why I am voting for Stacy Korsgaden for the insurance commissioner. Those fires, don't that hurt our environment too? Well, who am I? Now let's talk about the Superintendent of Public Instructions. This is a big one, seriously, because this is about our kids. The Superintendent of Public Instruction is the statewide education leader. This office leads California Department of Education and is supposed to help hold schools accountable for student achievement. So when people complain about schools, reading scores, math scores, parents being ignored, that's a big one. Discipline, safety, and politics in the classroom. This office is right in the middle of that conversation too. And here is that problem. California students are struggling. Remember, only 48.82% of California students met or exceeded the state English standard. That means 51.18% did not meet or exceed the standard, more than half. On the national test, I know I told you, I'm going to tell you again. Only 29% of California fourth graders, 28% of California eighth graders were proficient in reading. So when I say California schools are failing too many kids, I'm not just saying it because I'm mad. The numbers show it. And while those numbers are sitting right in front of us, what does the education machine keep saying? More slogans, more excuses, more political fights, more attacks on parents, more focus on ideology. Instead of basics, how are we supposed to stop failing our children when the people in charge keep acting like the priority is politics instead of reading? Reading should not be controversial. Math, discipline, safety, all of it should not be controversial. Parents being involved should not be. But in California, somehow the basic keep getting buried under politics. This is why I'm voting for Sonja Shaw for Superintendent of Public Instructions. Now, I saw her on the news today, and she was coming down on that whole trans in women's sports. That was awesome. Sonja Shaw is a school board member from Chino Valley. She is running to fix California education and protect children. Protect children. Protect children. She has gained traction on the right because she is willing to fight the education establishment instead of making excuses for it. And that's exactly why I don't want another education politician telling me the system's fine. The system is not fine, fool. More than half of your California students did not meet or exceed the English standard. That should be a 5-alarm fire. The current education machine keeps saying, give us more time, give us more money, trust the system. Sonja Shaw is saying, put kids first, put parents back in the room, focus on reading, writing, math, safety, and accountability. That is the difference. California does not need more excuses from the education machine. California needs someone willing to fight for the kids trapped inside. And that's why I'm voting for Sonja Shaw for Superintendent of Public Instructions. I hadn't even heard of this one here before, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about the State Board of Equalization, District 3. And I know the name sounds boring. That is how they get you, because when an office sounds boring, people skip it. But this office deals with property tax practices, county assessors, taxpayer appeals, tax fairness. So when people complain about taxes, housing costs, property values, and California squeezing working people from every direction, this office matters. California is already too expensive. Gas, groceries, rent, mortgage, insurance, utilities, feeds, taxes. Working people are getting squeezed from every direction. So no, I'm not skipping a tax office just because the name sounds like something nobody talks about. That is exactly the kind of office voters should be paying attention to. This board has had more problems before. It used to have a lot of more power. Had more power, but the state stripped it away because much of the power after scandals and mismanagement. So this is not an office where I want another machine politician. It's an office that has history of problems. I want somebody talking about transparency, fairness, accountability. That is why I am voting for Carlo Basail for State Board of Equalization, District 3. Carlo Basail is running on transparency, fair taxation, and accountable public service. That is exactly what I want in tax office. Not games, no, not insiders. Not another person who treats taxpayers like an ATM. I want somebody who understands that taxpayers are tired of being squeezed. The current California machine keeps saying, we need more revenue. Carl Basail is saying taxpayers deserve fairness, transparency, and accountability. That it is the difference. California does not need another politician looking for ways to take more. California needs people willing to respect the taxpayer. That is why I'm voting for Carlo Basail for State Board of Equalization, District 3. So those are my statewide picks. Gloria Romero for Lieutenant Governor, Don Wagner for Secretary of State, Jennifer Hawk for Treasurer, Herb Morgan for Controller, Stacy Korsgaden for Insurance Commissioner, Sonja Shaw for Superintendent of Public Instruction, Carlo Basail for State Board of Equalization, District 3. Listen. El Amir, that race, that's a whole new video in itself. Spencer Pratt might be what he was in the past. He might have just sold magic crystals, which ain't so magic since there's a whole bunch in his house. But he's a victim. And he's not asking for victim sympathy. He's saying, I'm tired of it, and we're fighting back. Karen, is it Basura we call her? Pretty cool. I saw her on TV just, I don't know, the other day. They're talking about she wants to get teeth for meth heads. Nah, I'm not hating on them. You know, I am. I'm not hating. I get them help. How about get them help? Get them off the streets. Because let me let you know something. The problem that's happened, you get them in a place, and they got to behave themselves. There's no need for you to keep doing what you're doing, and then we're spending this money to help you. It's pissing in the wind. Literally pissing in the wind. They got to be willing to help themselves. And living on the street is illegal. Well, it used to be. I don't know how they're going to work, but we change it. We can't let you do it. Now I'm close to different things, RVs and stuff like that, people like that. And I know a lot of people, and I know how they think. Believe it or not, a lot of them just like it. They don't have to listen to anybody. They don't have to get up at a certain time and be at work. They don't have to do anything like that. And you can't afford to pay for a place in here unless you are. That's a choice. That's what they make, you know. I don't know how that's going to come about. I don't know what it's doing. But listen, LA is a great example to say, how much worse can he do? Because you got people who are doing something on purpose, or they're complete idiots. And if you are supporting Spencer Pratt for mayor, and you're not voting like this for this regular state elections, then you're pissing in the wind. You're pissing in the wind too, because he can't do a thing when he's got a whole party against him. He needs the support. Be smart. Listen, do what you want. Do what you want with your ballot. I'm not forcing anybody to vote like me. But I am telling you this. Do not complain about California. Then leave your ballot sitting on the table. Do not complain about taxes and ignore the treasurer, controller, and the board of equalization. Do not complain about schools and ignore the superintendent of public instructions. Do not complain about elections and ignore Secretary of State. Do not complain about insurance and ignore the insurance commissioner. Do not complain about California being broken and then vote for the same machine that broke it. Fill it out. Sign it, mail, track it, because complaining on Facebook is not enough. Your vote does not matter sitting on the kitchen table. It matters when you turn it in and count, and it's counted. California didn't break itself. California would not fix itself. If you agree with this, share it, like it, subscribe. And this is why you can't handle the truth. This is Sergeant O. Till next time.
The propaganda is on every channel. The propaganda is on every channel. They think we stupid like the truth is just too hard to handle. Put on your camo, it's a culture war and load the ammo. They want Antifa ruling everything like it's Seattle. And they want anyone who's fighting to be dead and canceled. They want rainbows in the classrooms and 15 different bathrooms and white guys that hate black dudes. They want war, they don't want peace, they want